welcome back to another episode of Cinema d'Amore. I'm your host, Chuck, joined by
Justin.
We're connecting from... What the hell did we watch last time? It hasn't even been, I feel like, a week since we recorded.
The Substance.
We're going from The Substance to Annihilation. So what do you think?
And Substance was my movie, and you connected it to Annihilation, and I have to figure out why. And I'm not I'm not really sure why. Is it becoming like mutations or something?
I'm gonna be honest.
Your body mutating
again. It feels like it hasn't been that long, but I already forgot. So yeah, sure, we'll go with that. We'll say that was the
Charles.
We'll say that was the connection.
I mean, that's a good example of this podcast. 100% what you're getting into.
It just happens.
You're like, I just wanted to do it.
I know when I watched it, I had it in my mind, and now we got to this point, and I can't remember what the connection was. So yeah, sure, we'll go with what you said.
I already know what I'm doing next. I know that's also against the rules, but
you better write yours down and remember what your connection is.
Oh, mine's very obvious. Well, anyways, Annihilation. Alex Garland. He did something Ex Machina, which I believe we also did this year.
We did. Not that long ago. I feel like it was just a month or two ago that we did that. It was pretty recent.
Yeah, and
these all blend together. Sometimes we record a bunch of episodes at one time, and sometimes we take our time.
Yeah, that was this year, though. And I remember after that one, I almost did go with Civil War, because I'm frankly, I'm not a huge fan of Annihilation, but I do like his other movies. I thought Civil War was good, and I thought Ex Machina was good. Yeah, as far as he's directed things. Yeah. Did you see Warfare?
I haven't watched Warfare yet, no.
It's good. It's an experience film, but it kind of wears thin. I mean, it's like 90 minutes of a real-time movie, but it's a bit much sometimes.
I feel like you can say that about, I don't know, most of his movies. I feel like you can say it's a bit much sometimes.
Well, that movie in particular is supposed to be another guy's perspective.
Yeah.
And then I think they just got Alex Garland because he can direct.
Yeah, it was like a co-directing type thing. Like I think they wouldn't have signed off without having an actual director on it.
Yeah, Garland was probably getting the performances that he wanted, and the other guy was probably just there for like consultation of this is how I experienced this.
He does have an interesting career. I mean, he started out as mainly just as Danny Boyle's writer, wrote on.
Hey, and he's back. He's doing it again.
All of his early films, worked with him a lot, and I mean, I think all those movies that Danny Boyle did that he wrote on are all pretty great. They're good movies, and then he got into his own directing, and he's. Yeah, I don't want to say hit or miss. I do think he has some very, very interesting ideas. Even the ones that aren't great, like Annihilation, I don't think is the best. I do still think there are interesting things that he comes up with in the movie. And he kind of like uncredited directed the Dread movie, which is great. I know he worked on that. Because I don't know, they didn't like what the original director was doing. So yeah, he has some interesting ideas, and we kind of talked about it last time when I told you I was picking this movie. I don't think his movie's that great either. I think it is maybe probably my least favorite of his movies, but I still think he has some interesting things that are worth talking about.
Yeah. Now you got into this. You watched this movie because you read the book. So let's go down that path. I didn't read the book, and I was kind of disappointed with the movie because I thought that plot-wise, good, interesting, I guess, but I thought the characters they didn't work for me because they're all scientists and they're all supposed to be experts in their field, and they just kind of go in like dumb as fuck, I guess.
Yeah.
if that makes any sense. Like, they're going in, they're touching things, they're breathing in the air. I know we didn't really get to the premise yet, or maybe nobody knows what I'm talking about, but it's kind of like scientists can do dumb things, I guess, but
Hey, we've seen
it just
Prometheus.
seemed
They
like
can, they can do some dumb stuff sometimes.
I think they did more dumb things in this than they did Prometheus. I mean, yeah, don't touch the worm thing. Maybe you don't know what it is, and it's acting like a cobra snake. So maybe stay away from it. And this was very similar in that fashion of I've never seen that before. Physics are weird. Sounds nothing has their logic like our real world logic, and I feel like from a scientific person, it would be approached much different than how these people were approaching things. I think thematically, it works really well. I do like that Alex Garland's tried to like visualize this and like visualize the characters, like little individual things that he could pick out of them. But and I thought the premise was interesting. Like when I saw the trailer for it, I'm like, oh, that movie's gonna fucking rock. and then I was like, okay. I mean, it's weird because I like the cast, but I don't particularly like the characters.
Yeah, I will say through the whole movie, I think the character that I guess bothers me the most is probably Jennifer Jason Leigh because she's like the weirdest. I mean, it's got to be a choice to have her character have like I don't want to say no emotions. She just seems bored through the whole movie, which her motivation that we learn later, we're told that she's got cancer, so this is like her last chance to try to solve the mystery of what this place is, which yeah, the premise is there's this giant kind of like glowing domed area in some undefined place in America that there's stuff going on inside and they don't really quite understand what's going on in there. They send in Oscar Isaac. He goes in first. He's Natalie Portman's husband and comes back out and has some strange stuff happening with him, cancer. And she's the director of this group, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and kind of wants to solve the mystery. And again, we're told she's got cancer. This is her last chance to solve the mystery, but she doesn't even play it as like she's desperate to solve a mystery. She just plays it as if she's like bored and doesn't want to be there for the whole movie.
Does she think that, or are you picking up on the fact that she thinks that maybe, I mean, they make it out that they don't have any information, but I don't know if they're being shady. Do you think that she thinks that there's maybe a cure for her or something that will fix her in there? Because I mean, that's kind of what we find out the environment's doing is more or less fixing.
I guess that kind of is. So again, I guess spoilers for you haven't read the book. I gave you time. You said you needed to read it. In the book, this isn't the second expedition. There's been like 50 expeditions. This is like a well-known thing. In this movie, Oscar Isaac's group is like the first people to ever be in there, and then they're the second group to go in. But in the book, this has been a thing that's been around for years, and it's even kind of generally known that the government keeps people away by telling people it's like a waste dump or something, like that there's a hazardous environment. So that's like the cover story they give to keep people away from it.
Is it growing too? Is it like getting bigger?
Yes. Yeah, that is a plot point in the
Okay.
book.
So there eventually people are going to find out about it at some point.
I mean, that's the assumption. And yeah, there is. I mean, the characters are kind of basically the same. It is a group of women that go in, and they all have a particular profession that they're good at. And then the director, who's the top person, the Jennifer Jason Leigh character, is a psychologist that's in charge of the mission. And yeah, she's trying to. In the book, she is kind of the one that's like trying to solve the mystery, This is even going into the second and third book in the series.
Mm-hmm.
She's been inside of the area multiple times before, apparently, and also was there before the area started, before the event happened that made it this way. So she's been there kind of forever. She knows about it. So it is interesting. I know I read an interview that Alex Garland gave that like there's things like you're saying that she knows things about being in there that aren't in that first book, which was apparently the only one that well, again, I will say he claims that he only read the first book, although this movie came out 4 years after all three books came out, so he could have read the other books, but he claims he still only read the first book. And he has said, like, well, some of the stuff I came up with actually turned out to be in the second and third book. But again, I don't know, maybe he lied about not reading the other books, but he claims that that things that he put in the movie that do turn out to kind of relate to the books that he says he didn't read.
I mean, there could be themes in that first book or like foreshadowing in that first book, and he thought he was clever thinking of them, but the author clearly put them in there.
Yeah, I assume there's things that he puts in there that lean towards one thing. It is not. It's a lot more. The book's a lot more Lovecraftian than the film is. I feel like the film is definitely a lot more almost just straight sci-fi with how it goes about things. The book is a lot more. The characters really almost never see anything. It's all they hear sounds somewhere. They know something's out there trying to get near them. It's a lot of what you don't see that's approaching them. There is no gator. There's no bear. There's none of those creatures in the book at all. It's always just, they know there's something lurking at the periphery and they don't know what it is. So he plays a lot more in the book with a lot of like less is more. Like it's creepy that they don't find creatures more often in the wild. It's weird that they don't see more things, but they keep hearing things and seeing traces of things that they don't understand.
Makes me think of something like The Haunting when you put it that way, where the original Haunting focuses a lot on sound design.
Yeah. And then the remake is like all visual effects.
Yeah, but I wonder if Garland's like knows modern audiences might not be able to buy a film that's almost strictly sound.
It wouldn't. I think I said this last time when we were talking about when I chose this movie. If you read the book, the book feels like it does not translate to film because it's all a lot of, you don't see most of the things. It's all just from the main character, the Natalie Portman character, technically in the book. It's all from her perspective, and everything is just like what she hears. But then there also are very large plot points that are just completely stripped out of the movie. Most of the book takes place in an underground, like, living mechanism that they go into that's like an endless spiraling staircase down into nothing. That there's a creature that they encounter down there that's just completely not in the movie. But again, it's barely explained in the book what it actually is, at least in that first book. You get told what it is much later in the other books, but in the first one, they don't tell you what it is at all. And I think that was, he was trying to make this movie not with the idea of it being sequelized or making a trilogy out of it. So he cut out anything that couldn't easily be explained in one movie.
Right, in the beginning of this movie is like a meteorite.
It's a meteor. It tells you exactly what happens almost.
Yeah, it's extraterrestrial. I guess it could be, I guess it could be cosmic or something, but it feels something closer to like Creep Show, where that the short with Stephen King touching the plant and the plant getting all over the fucking place. And I mean, the only thing that's like these characters do is it's a lot of exposition for the audience, where like when they find that gator, and right as the gator's about to attack Natalie Portman, she notices like inside the mouth, just something is not right with it. But I mean, honestly, they know that what they walked into, the shimmer, that area, is like, obviously shit's weird right off the bat. So it's not like they were in a normal looking area, got attacked by a gator, and was like, what the fuck's going on with that gator? They were very clearly in a very weird setting where shit just got weirder the more that, they went along.
Yeah. And again, yeah, you should know there's gators there. It's in the book, it's called the area is called the Southern Reach. And again, it's never really explained where it is, but it feels very much like they're talking about it's in Florida or something like that, because they talk about it being on the southern coast, the southern east coast. So
Hey,
it's like
Florida has a bear problem
yeah.
now.
So that's generally where they're at.
Yeah, and I felt like some of the stuff, because he crammed it into he had a lot to tell with very little time to tell it. And I felt that it kind of hurt it a little bit because he had to go heavy on exposition, where some of the stuff felt like very heavily like a student film, where like that shot that they keep going back to Natalie Portman where she's having an affair, and
Which, I mean, that just feels
she's guilty.
pointless. That's I hated that
It's
that
not
part. It's just like
it's not point. I don't think it's pointless, but it's like the way they did it, like, and kept going back to it. It's like, okay, her husband's been gone for far too long, and she cheated on him with this guy, and she's feels guilty about it. And that's what she's trying to like overcome in this thing, is like that guilt. But the way that he hammers it in, it's like, all right, man, like it felt weird. It felt like a student film or something, like I don't really have like another way to tackle it besides the fact that it was like, okay, we get it, but you're not being subtle about it. They almost probably didn't even need it to just the whole.
it doesn't serve any purpose other than it feels like he's trying to add background to the character, but I just doesn't feel like it adds anything.
So like, I mean, you get into it whenever you want to get into it, but the climax, when you get into the climax with her, I think it ties more directly into that her guilt of having the affair. But it does also kind of give you more questions about the husband, if it's the husband that has returned, outside of the Shimmer. And I feel like, yeah, if for an adaptation of basically 3 books, they should have cut it up a little bit more, or just like, I don't know, I feel like they should have went in after somebody, like found out her husband was in there and was like trying to track the husband down or something. But also Oscar Isaacs, and for like 1 second his assistant from Ex Machina were in this film.
Yeah.
So you had 2 Ex Machina people, unless they had more in there that I'm unaware of.
It's a very small cast, so it's not too many places to hide him.
Well,
Donald Gleason was the bear.
Well, that's what I'm kind of thinking. They do shit like that, where, remember whenever we were watching The Brothers Bloom and Ryan Johnson got Joseph Gordon-Levitt in there for like an audio cameo or something like that. So like he's worked with him for like, he's a part of like every single movie that he's done. So I felt like, yeah, Domhnall Gleeson, well, we got to get him in every single movie that I do as well, before he starts doing The Paper.
Yeah.
I love the bear in this. I mean, I don't know.
It's a cool creature.
I don't know if I loved the setup. That was her name, Gina Rodriguez, and it's like, well, we know you're a liar, and we found that, like,
it almost feels like that scene. It made me, and I put this in a negative because it feels so.
Yeah.
It feels so like beat for beat the exact thing. It felt like it just an homage to The Thing. Like it 100% is like exactly the scene in The Thing where
right. They didn't need to like tie them up, or they did not need to do any of that stuff
too, because they so like to get into that, there's a scene. She's the only one, Natalie Portman's character. She doesn't tell any of the rest of them that her husband was in the group the first time. Like she keeps that a secret.
Yeah, and before they go in, they do know that there was a guy that escaped or got
Or
out,
like rumors,
but she
like,
never says it was her
yeah,
husband.
she doesn't tell them, and the psychologist character is like, oh, maybe that was probably a good thing you didn't tell them because they find a camcorder, and again, this is another kind of like it is a cool scene in and of itself. It's like a really creepy scene where we see these guys, they're all the soldiers, including her husband, that were there, and they cut a guy open, and it's like his intestines are like moving around, like his body's mutating and transforming in front of
Yeah, it's
them.
like a snake almost, like
Yeah.
it's slithering around inside
And
of
then you
him.
find his body later, and it's like exploded into this giant, like, tree plant structure in this abandoned pool in the area.
I mean, it does kill me too when they're like, "What is that?" It's like very clearly like, I mean, me and you, the audience, aren't scientists, but we can tell that it was a person and it looks like they're part plant or a plant or something came out of them. Like
And
it's not.
it's in the same place. Like, you can recognize the background from the video, and I think they find like the guy's
Mhm.
knife there that he cut him open with. But so yeah, she doesn't tell it doesn't reveal that that was her husband in the video, and then it's just kind of like it's just super random in certain moments. Again, the parts that just feel like they don't exist for any reason. After they find that and they're on watch, the one character gets attacked by the bear, and she gets
Mhm.
like they run off into the forest, and the bear, attacks her and takes her off. And then they're trying to decide where to go, and the psychologist just keeps saying, "We need to go to the lighthouse. We should just go to the lighthouse." Like, we don't know because they all have like amnesia to how they got there. They can't remember how they got to where they're at, so they don't really know where to go. Compasses don't work, so they just say, "Well, if let's go to the lighthouse. If we get to the beach, we'll follow the shore, and then we'll get out eventually." And then they all go off in one direction, and then Natalie Portman just out of nowhere is like, "I need to go find her." And they're all like, "She's probably dead." And she's like, "Well, I have to see it for myself." And there's just a whole scene where she goes, finds the woman dead, and is just like, "Yep, she's dead." And then just joins the group in the very next scene. And they're like, "Well, yep, she was dead." And it's just like, did we have to have her go prove that she was dead? They died. It was such a weird. I don't know if it was just their like it almost feels like a test audience thing. Like, someone said, you don't buy it when the bear shows up because the bear uses the dead woman's voice to like trick them into thinking she's still alive. So I don't know. It feels like they added that scene in to just show the audience like, no, no, she's definitely dead. If you hear that voice, it's definitely not her. It's something tricking them.
Or you would think maybe she mutated into that bear, like they became
Something
one
like that.
thing. But yeah, that bear is great. Like I love that. First of all, it's a creepy ass voice saying "help me" or something, and they're like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "There's no way that's a fucking person." But that creepy like half dead bear that's talking, like or not talking, but like
It's just like making a noise, and
it,
the
it's
noise sounds like the dead person.
yeah, it's kind of like what parrots do, where they mimic something. It's just so much creepier having it being like it must have heard her say that and just kept mimicking it. But yeah, I don't know. That was cool. I kind of do like the Kubrick-esque ending, but overall, I
It's a
like
weird. So yeah, I guess to get more into the endings.
yeah.
I hate the ending. I hate the ending of this movie because I don't think it's there's so much mystery. Like, I've heard people talk about this movie and be like, "This movie's crazy. You don't know what's going on." And I'm like, it literally ends with Benedict Wong going, "It was aliens." Like, it's literally just flat
Mhm.
out telling you it's like it's aliens. And then when Natalie Portman and Oscar Isaac like are with each other again, they both have like a flash in
Mhm.
their eyes that they've clearly both been altered in some way, like whether they're strictly clones or they've been affected by this thing somehow. So it seems like it's broken out in some way by like infecting them, which kind of is a that is kind of like a plot point in the books. Like they still don't really know what it is inside, but it does kind of like infect people and then they go out into the world and they're kind of like infecting the world to spread the stuff that's in there. So it's like that is kind of the plot point.
They have the doppelgängers, and we do see that Oscar Isaacs like blows up his doppelganger, or the doppelganger
But we
blows him
never know.
up.
Yeah, I mean, he does. You can't tell who's the real one. Is he just the one with the ridiculously insane accent that I can't place at all? That I think is. I think that's. I feel like that's something that's like he does like Alex Garland, as much as he like flat out tells you a lot of things, he does do some things very subtly that are just like single shots or something like that. Because we're kind of told that everything that goes into like this area starts to like slowly kind of assimilate together. And like
Mhm.
it's a really subtle moment. It's not super remarked upon. Like Natalie Portman has a tattoo and it's Gina Rodriguez's tattoo. Like you see it on her earlier in the movie, and then it's on Natalie Portman at the very end. So it was like they were slowly assimilating into each other. And the same way Oscar Isaac's accent is not the same in that video that he records as when he interacts with other characters or interacts with Natalie Portman. So it's like seemingly he does say like I don't even remember if this is my name anymore. So it does seem to imply that he was like slowly assimilating with the other people there, like the other soldiers, like they were all slowly starting to blend into each other because his voice doesn't even sound the same as anybody
Yeah,
else's. It's a really like
and
weirdly
and
subtle
it's
thing.
and the environment too. They're like, you know, they're assimilating with the island, or I was going to call the island, the Florida, or what, wherever the hell they are. It really doesn't even make sense to be Florida. Like, where in the hell could this thing be in Florida where nobody knows about this? But that aside, we clearly see that people are turning into plants, or there's like, I mean, Natalie Portman even says something like this thing is like mixed with a different species, and that can't happen in nature. So we know it's changing them. So like when you get to the end where you do have the, I guess it would be an alien or the environment, or like I don't know if it's what crashed there or if it's just something that like the meteorite's doing to the environment, and the environment's trying to copy her. Obviously it's mimicking her of some sort. Like, I'm in the belief that she did kill or destroy that thing, but I feel like, when she escaped, she probably, her genes or whatever probably were so much combined with the other people and the other environment and stuff that, when she's having that discussion with Oscar Isaac, and it's like, are you? And it's like, I don't know. Like, I think it's because there's so much that's changed in her. She's just not, I'm sure like it's more than a chemical imbalance. I'm like, her brain and probably everything is slightly different, slightly off.
Cool.
But yeah, then it does the very unsubtle eye thing at the end, which is another thing in the thing where like, I'm sure by the time that this movie was made, there was the stuff with the cinematographer talking about like how they were trying not to show reflection of light in people's eyes if they were the thing. But I don't know if they like pulled that off 100%. So like for Natalie Portman's eyes to be like all shifty, I mean, it kind of made me think more of X-Men when Mystique took over that like senator's body and had that like, and they're like, oh, but it's actually Mystique, and they paused it on her eyes changing. Like that's kind of what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of dug the weird like mirror creature thing, but that's the point where it's like Garland doesn't want to explain it. He actually wants to tell it as visually as he can. But then sometimes it's like, I don't know, the way that it's shot, the blocking or something's just fucking weird about it. Like when the creature's mimicking her and she takes that grenade and hands it to herself and then takes off. It just felt like he didn't have a better way to end things.
You just needed to blow it up and get out of there.
Just blow it up and get out of there. I'm actually impressed that the lighthouse is standing once it got hit by that meteorite. Like I did kind of dig that, like, the set design of inside the lighthouse, where the hole in the ground where the meteor went in and had, like, I don't know what the fuck it's supposed to be. You said some sort of like Lovecraftian cosmic type thing floating down inside there. But I did like the nice lighting from the hole in the lighthouse from where the from clear as day where the meteorite thing hit. I also think you said, so they go underground and it's a spiral.
Yeah.
Which makes me think of the manga spiral, because there's literally a spiral that goes underground in that fucking thing too. Did you read that?
Yeah.
Uzumaki? The book sounds a lot more similar to that manga, but I wonder if they just were like, went with the lighthouse because it's like the only thing they could think of that would have a spiral staircase.
I mean, there is a lighthouse in the book. They're related. There's a lighthouse and there's an underground, and it's like they're tied together in some way. But this just completely cuts out the other and just focuses on the lighthouse and uses the lighthouse in a completely different way. In the book, the lighthouse is just a lighthouse. There's nothing necessarily inside the lighthouse that's like an evil presence.
I mean, there was in that spiral manga, there was also a lighthouse.
They do spiral.
Because, I mean, everything had to have spirals and the spirals in it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think overall, I do like this cast from other things, but they almost seem to lack chemistry. And I kind of get it to a point with Natalie Portman. And, like, my husband comes back and he's not himself. That makes sense for there to be zero chemistry, but there's no, like, camaraderie or anything when they go in there. It doesn't have, like, an arc where they're all trusting of each other and then the environment starts to, like, turn them against each other. Which, I mean, I think it's kind of implied, especially at the end of the movie, that it's not necessarily, like, trying to hurt them or kill them. Because that creature is, like, mimicking her. Or, like, it's not trying to hurt her.
Yeah.
We do get the sense that she's afraid of it because, you know, she blows it up. And it's starting to look like her, but for all you know, it's not like body snatchers. It's not replacing her or anything like that. It's just trying to...
I mean, and in the book, it is kind of described as, like, it's not always even necessarily described as, like, they don't go too much into the like necessarily mutating of things in there, but everyone just basically says it's like, they describe it more as like it's cleansing, and it seems more almost more like it is. I'm only partway through the third book, so I have not finished it, but where it is currently, it isn't so much of like, yeah, it's not an evil presence in and of itself, but it's almost more like cleansing the world of humans and like things that are useless in there. In the book, they talk about how like modern technological things don't work inside of it, and it's just unexplained why they don't work. And it very much almost seems to be because it being inside of it, everything needs to be simplified, like very, very complex, dangerous things just don't work inside of there. So you have to have everything be very basic. They can't use cell phones. They can't use computers. They don't even take like modern guns in with them. Like all their guns are super outdated because just nothing new seems to work there because they just, it seems like everything's like cleansed by the shimmer. Like it's just cleaning the earth of humanity seemingly.
Yeah, and I guess I get the idea of trying to visualize it and them trying to understand it. And if it's that like Lovecraftian, we are incapable of understanding the cosmic level of this thing, then how do you visualize that? And I feel like a book, they can do the sounds, or if you're following the character, they can make them go crazy. But I don't know if the characters had enough time to like like, I don't know. I feel like Natalie Portman was, she's clearly the lead, but maybe they should have just cut out much of the other cast. Maybe it
I will
was,
say, again, you're kind of like nailing. The book does cut most of them out. There's less of them that go
yeah,
into there in the first place. In the book, there's only 4 of them that go in. One of them dies very early, like is barely a character in the book, and it's pretty much just left to the psychologist character, Natalie Portman's character, and then the Gina Rodriguez character, and they slowly die very fast. Most of the book is just Natalie Portman by herself, or the character that Natalie Portman portrays from the book. It's mostly just her by
yeah,
herself. So it is a lot of the cast is very small, even in the book. That's another interesting thing. Nobody has names. That's another thing that you can't have in the Shimmer is like they tell them not to have names because proper names affect things more. Like having a proper name and using it inside
mhm,
there makes you more susceptible seemingly to being changed. But if you just have like a broad, they just get called by their jobs. So there's the biologist, the psychologist, the surveyor, and the anthropologist. And they're told like if you're just a function, you're less of like a person that can be manipulated and changed inside. So like you have to just be the biologist. Like you're not a person inside of there. You're not a proper thing.
and if you're at that level of, like, psychology, then whatever's happening, it has to be highly intelligent. It's not it it can't just be, like, an environmental thing if it's able to determine those things.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like, if it was more primal and not intelligent, I would think that it really wouldn't be able to pick up on what people are saying, more or less, but their action.
What is it is it, so I, that is part of the book. Words is a big thing that's cut out of this. Like everything's about words. Inside the
Yeah.
tower, when they go into the tower, there's just words written across the walls, and they're basically like an endless scrawl of like they sound like a biblical preacher like predicting
Mhm.
doomsday. So that's the thing that they talk about, and they're like words have power inside of here. So if you give things, that's why they say like yeah, if you give things proper names and use words in that way, they'll break down. And the psychologist character specifically uses words because she hypnotizes everybody, and that's where annihilation comes from. Annihilation's the code word that's supposed to make them kill themselves if they start to become uncontrollable by her.
She didn't hypnotize anybody in the movie.
Exactly, they cut it out.
Okay.
It's a cool that's why they all have amnesia when they get inside of the thing. Like they don't remember exactly how they got inside of it is because they're all hypnotized when they go in. Because again, they're told that if you're not hypnotized, it would just be like too much of it, like an overwhelming
Mhm.
experience to actually cross into this thing. So you have to be hypnotized to get in there. But in the movie, they just get in and they're like, why don't I remember the last 2 days?
I mean, Annihilation kinda works too for something that's more or less at some point gonna would've take over the whole world. I mean, I guess they destroy it, but
But they get
yeah, I guess
out.
she
So
does destroy it.
they destroyed the lighthouse and the thing in the lighthouse, but obviously they're out in the world, and presumably they'll spread it to other people.
Yeah. I don't know how much I like that. I kinda like the idea of, them not stopping it.
I mean, that's the third book is called Acceptance. So I
Okay.
think that is where it's slowly heading, is that the characters just slowly accept that this is going to happen and there's nothing they can do to change it. Because yeah, they don't destroy it in the 2 books I read. There's zero progress made in destroying this thing. If anything, it is just getting bigger and taking over more.
Are they trying to, in the book, destroy it?
No,
Or are they trying to, like, study?
they're just trying to study it because they just have absolutely zero clue as to they where I'm at, they still don't even know what caused it. There's no meteorite that magically hit. It's just like literally one day everyone woke up and there was this shimmering dome in this place.
Yeah. I mean, it coulda ripped out of time and space, or it could have been spiritual. Like, there's, yeah, no explanation for it.
Yeah. I'll let you know. I'll let you know when I finish
I,
reading it. I'll give you some more info.
I mean, I'm fine with the explanation of it being like extraterrestrial. I don't know if I buy the motivation for like them putting her in there. And then I also don't feel like the arc was very good for her. Like, also, like when she destroys it and destroys the shimmer, I don't think like her intention was like to completely destroy the shimmer. So it's like by accident you destroyed the thing. And I feel like thematically that should be something that's like this has a body snatcher type ending where it's like, what are they going to go out and do? Like, what's going to happen next? And I think it would have been more interesting to be like, what are the consequences of us taking that thing out? Like, not that it's not over, but there's almost like no moral question. There's nothing lingering. I just feel like there should be something more. I don't understand. Maybe there was some meddling in this movie and it didn't work out the way Garland like 100% wanted it to.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe he wanted it. Maybe he wanted a more open ending, ambiguous ending, and maybe the studio, told him it had to be more definite. I don't know.
That's like I heard recently Brad Pitt talking about the movie Seven, and he said it was in his contract that the ending had to stay the same. He's like, no, I'm not doing this entire movie for them to take that fucking thing out of the movie. He's like, no, this is the whole reason I'm here. He's like, it's such a good ending, I can't skip it. And I feel like Garland probably had like, the test audiences were confused and they didn't like this, and they didn't like that.
If we don't explain that they're taking over, we have to show that.
And I mean, there's some weird fucking like. Did you see Under the Skin?
No.
It has more like a artsy type approach to it, but it is like an extraterrestrial or something that's like feeding off of people's like sexual desires. And I really like the way that it lures men in and kills them and shit through like Scarlett Johansson. But it's also kind of that like that director had, Final Cut or something. Like he was able to keep it crazy. And I'm sure it wasn't a huge budget for that movie either. And this one was probably like a massive budget for all the CG that's in it and the bigger cast. I feel like this is the movie that Oscar Isaac was like, maybe he was doing Star Wars.
It would have been around this because this was 2018. So I mean, this would have been after Force Awakens and around Last Jedi.
If I remember correctly, I think he said something about he was working on another movie. Garland wanted him on it. They were shooting very close to each other, like this, like the same studio or something. So like he asked him to come over and like do his scenes real quick. So like I think they kind of filmed all his shit in like a day or two.
I would assume.
And when he like shows up and he's all exhausted and stuff, he was probably exhausted because he was working on Star Wars all day. But yeah, I guess I would say you did pick a good movie to discuss. I don't know if it's mostly because of the book. It's almost ambiguous in in our criticisms because like I can't pinpoint like exactly 100% what I don't like about it, but it doesn't work like most of his other movies.
You just can't put your finger on it.
Well, it's a little things here and there. Like I feel like something did not work out. So that's why I feel like there was meddling of some sort with the studio. Because I kind of find it hard to believe that you went this into such a strange story and then weren't really able to go all out where you should have went all out. Like, yeah, the bear's cool, but
should have just been all bears.
Just the bear.
Just 20 more bears.
Just 20 bears.
Just a ton of them.
Yeah. Anyways, we only have one more episode left of this season before we do our Halloween episode, and we're into our next season. This year kind of flew. Did you like doing them every other week? Spreading them out a little bit?
A little,
to make it less chaotic for you?
I mean, I still lose track of time and forget when we're doing stuff, so.
You're like, oh shit, I gotta watch this movie. Oh yeah. I mean, that's how it is with work and everything. I'm like, I gotta watch Annihilation tonight, because if I fall asleep or something tomorrow, then I'm fucked. I can't get the whole movie in. I try not to wait till the last minute, but it needs to be fresh in my mind. So like, I can't go too long, because maybe if it was the only thing I watched, I would be fine. But I watched too many other things in between. So like, if a week or 2 weeks go by, I'm like, I'm like thinking of the completely wrong thing right now, and not even what happened in our movie. I'll be like tying it into a TV show that I'm watching. But yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks with my pick. And then Halloween horror-esque discussion on Halloween, which we've been doing forever. And that's Chuck's pick. It doesn't connect. It's not going to connect to my movie.
Hey, maybe I can figure out how to. I'll figure out how to connect.
I do think
find the connection.
What we are learning is you can connect almost any movie in some fashion to another movie.
Find it.
I believe in you. I think you can do it. Anyways, thanks for listening, everybody. We are Cinema d'Amore. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with news and information on upcoming episodes. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, Pandora, Alexa, or iHeartRadio. It would be greatly appreciated if you subscribe to our podcast on your platform of choice. We also appreciate feedback, so rate us, review us, and let us know what you think. And above all else, thank you for listening.